welcome to Total Football Talk. I'm Anthony.
Hey, I'm Eric.
And we're going to talk about the only two teams that matter, the Rams and the Bears. Just kidding, guys. I'm just Sorry, that was a dick move.
Do you hear that sound? It's everybody logging off.
Click, 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 click. No, we're not just going to be talking about Rams and Bears. I'm just kidding. Anyway, but we are going to talk Rams and Bears a little bit with some stuff that's going down. Take it away. Where do you want to start?
All right, well, let's start in the NFC West. It's not for the Rams, but a big signing when the signing period does start, I think, and what I think it also signals for a team in the NFC South. But the Seahawks are going to sign Greg Olsen, formerly of the Panthers. And I look at that and I'm like, man, that's all Russell Wilson needs is more weapons. I think they need defense more than anything, but you can get a Greg Olsen. Hey, at least you know that there will be one healthy tight end every week that they have, either Greg Olsen or Will Disley. But that's a huge pickup, in my opinion, for Seattle. And what I expect a rebuild period to start in Carolina as well, with Kuechly retiring, Olsen leaving, probably Cam Newton getting cut. Now with an $18 million salary, I don't think that you're going to see Carolina pick that up or keep them. But I think I think the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers, and then we got the Cardinals. But even though I think that they can slightly get a little bit better, I think it's going to be a really tough NFC West next year, and we still don't know what other signings are going to happen, what other cuts are going to be made, or who's going to get drafted where. But yeah, I like the signing for Seattle. I just don't like it for everybody else.
Well, here's the thing. I'm torn on this. What Greg Olsen are we getting? Are we getting Greg Olsen the last 2 years, who, I'm sorry, didn't scare me? Or are we getting the Greg Olsen from 3 and 4 years ago, which was one of the best tight ends in football? So I think for me, it really depends on which Greg Olsen is going to show up. He's getting up there in age. This is not the Chicago Bears Greg Olsen. This is not even the early Carolina Panther Greg Olsen, I don't think. So that may be a Jimmy Graham type signing for Green Bay. I know I said that to you. I mean, for Seattle. I know we touched on that on the phone when we were talking to one another, and you said Olsen greater than Graham ever was, and that's true. I'm not going to disagree with you on that assumption or that statement. But for me, it is fundamentally important to take into consideration age, tread on the tires, and just overall performance the last 2 years. Now, you can chalk that up to bad quarterback play, and Russell Wilson is definitely not going to give Greg Olsen that. So that's why I'm holding out, ruling this as a bad move, but I'm also holding out on ruling it a great signing because I just don't know why Greg Olsen struggles the last 2 years have occurred, and he's been injury prone. So
yeah, he's had foot and leg issues, but Seattle's going to use him in a way to where he's not going to have to block off the line, that he can just release freely from the line of scrimmage, and I think that's where he's at his greatest. Well, do I think that they're going to, he's going to be out there for play? No, not at all.
Well,
I think you're going to see him used 75% of the time because what does Seattle also do? They run the ball a lot.
Yeah, they do.
I do like it. I think he's going to be a great red zone target.
Well, that I can't disagree with, provided he's on the field. Okay. Is there anybody else you want to talk about before I jump gears here a little bit?
All right. So we're seeing some cuts here for people to get off to get out of salary cap hell, if you will. The Bears freed up $13 million by cutting Taylor Gabriel, which I cannot disagree with whatsoever. I love that they cut him. Too many concussions, injury prone. He's not a number 2 wide receiver. He's 5'8". You can't really find him, when he's trying to run behind the defense because he's so small. But they also cut Prince Amukamara, their cornerback. I'm okay with it. He is going to be 32. He did a lot of good for the Bears. I miss him, but he did get beaten coverage quite a bit last year. I'm not saying it's all in the defense because the defense didn't play up to their expectations all year at all. So I see they're going to try to bring in new blood. We'll see what they end up doing, but if you can free up money, I expect them to try to trade or cut Leonard Floyd as well. But there's guys out there. Also, Clinton Dix, I don't expect him to be back. So there's some guys that could probably be had on the cheap for, I don't know, team in LA, not named the Chargers.
Well, I'm going to switch gear. I'm going to not switch gears, but piggyback off of this. My favorite corner in the National Football League has been for the last 3 years, Darius Slay Jr., the Detroit Lions. And it's looking like he's going to get cut in Detroit. And I'll tell you something right now. That is, if you are going to get anybody on defense, that is the guy the Rams need to go get. I don't know how much money he's going to demand. I know it's going to be less than Jalen Ramsey. And I don't know, James, if you've been paying attention, but we're rapidly approaching March 3rd, which is the deadline for re-signings. And how much has Jalen Ramsey been re-signed for? That's right. He hasn't been re-signed yet. Why? Because the Rams are going to let him go. They're going to cut him. Or not cut him, they're just not going to sign him. Because they cannot afford to sabotage everything going into the new stadium for one guy. Yeah, they lost a first and a second round pick. I know Ram fans are upset about that, and they're screaming and yelling, oh, we gave up all that draft capital. Yeah, but if you can make up for it in veteran capital, I'm not a big fan of the George Allen style building of a program, but considering you've got some young pieces in place right now, and you're only talking 2 years of draft picks that you essentially pissed down the toilet by going after Jalen Ramsey in a failed experiment, you can get a better corner than Jalen Ramsey for half the price and lock down half the field and focus on the other parts of your defense. And I think that if the Rams sign Darius Slay Jr., that's going to increase Aaron Donald's sack totals by about 7 from a year ago, because there's going to be a lot more coverage sacks. Don't forget, Weddle retired. That freed up room. Thank God he's gone. Taylor Rapp was a draft pick. He's still playing under a rookie contract and looked pretty good. It looks like you're going to have a Taylor Rapp, Johnny Johnson, the third safety tandem. You've got Darius Slay at corner if the Rams pick him up. The only other issue you got to look at is you've got to try to find somebody in the late rounds, mid rounds, to fill that other corner spot or take a chance on what you got. But that also allows you to sign your own guys. And right now, the 3 guys the Rams need to sign, and I haven't heard if they've officially let them go or not, but they haven't been signed either, which tells me they're going to free agency, is Corey Littleton, who I think is the best linebacker in football, and obviously Dante Fowler Jr., who I think the Rams need to re-sign quickly because edge pass rushers are not easy to find. And then obviously Greg the Leg Zuerlein and I believe Johnny Hekker are both free agents as well. So the Rams got some key players they need to sign and bring back. And not signing Jalen Ramsey is going to allow for some of that mobility to occur. So we got to find out who the Rams are going to put the tag on. Personally, if I'm the Rams, I'm probably going to put the franchise tag on Littleton. And because linebacker payouts aren't nearly as big as edge rusher payouts. And then that allows you to negotiate with Fowler and, again, let go of Jalen Ramsey and free up some room. Offensively, the Rams just got to find some guys in free agency. Now, it looks like Beluga's going to get re-signed in Green Bay, or at least they're going to make a push at him. But Brandon Sharif is going to be available. And I did a show on Brandon Sharif. So I think free agent-wise, it's going to be interesting because the Rams can make they need to make 4 key signings of their own, 1 key unsigning or non-signing, and then I think that frees them up the ability to get 3 relatively good signings from outside, which could be Brandon Sharif, it could be Darius Slay or Prince of Mukamura if you want a 1-year deal, prove it deal because he is 32, and then focus on maybe another lineman position or a skill player position, maybe at wide receiver. Because you get rid of Brandon Cooks, and maybe you keep your receiving core, which I'd be fine with too, and you address that defense. Maybe you try to find that other corner. Maybe you get Mukamura and Slay, and now you've got something better than the Rams have ever had. That tandem, in my opinion, is better than Aqib Talib and Marcus Peters. But I don't know. I mean, right now it's all conjecture, but one thing that is true is Jalen Ramsey still doesn't have a contract, and they have less than a week now. My birthday, March 3rd, is the cutoff. At that point, you ain't signed them, they're free agents. Now you're talking to them about restricted free agent deals and things like that, and that can be messy too. And that's where the franchise tags start to pile up too, E. Agreed?
Absolutely. I mean, another scenario too. I think the Rams could easily try to trade Brandon Cooks for late round draft capital because you're not going to get anything sooner than probably a 5 for him. But I would put Josh Reynolds in Cook's spot. Let Woods just do what he does on the opposite side.
I love it.
I love it as a slot. And you know what? Address your needs elsewhere because I know the Rams are flush with playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. I just think that if they keep their focus on staying healthy on the offensive side of the ball, but also short up the defense and getting something, even if it's something little, for a Brandon Cooks trade. I think he can make wonders for the Rams, and I think Reynolds is ready to step up. I think he's been ready for the last 2 years.
I can't agree with you more. I call him my mini Stephen Baker. He is a mini Stephen Baker. That guy does not care how far the first down marker is when he catches the ball. He's getting the first down, or at least he's going to die trying. And I love that. Josh Reynolds has rapidly become, and another Asian, by the way, which I think is fascinating. I think the Rams may have more Asian American football players than anybody else in the National Football League. But I just love his tenacity after the catch. And he's not a big body, so it's unexpected. And guys are like, dude, just get down already. But he's really capitalizing off of this lack of tackling in the NFL, which I think is huge. I did want to touch on something, Eric, if unless there's something else you want to hit on real quick.
Well, we're going to find out in the NFL really soon about NFL quarterback roulette and where everybody's going. I know the Raiders are going to offer Tom Brady a $60 million deal. I think it's a 2-year, $60 million deal. They've already come up and said it. So it looks like quarterback roulette is going to be going pretty rapidly through the NFL, especially if Brady doesn't re-sign in New England. Rivers is done with the Chargers. Breeze is coming back for another year, so it looks like Bridgewater's probably going to be gone somewhere else. It's going to be a whirlwind. Like, what's going to happen in Tennessee, we still don't know yet. The Bears are going to get another quarterback to go up against Trubisky. We don't know. We don't know that yet.
What about Tannehill?
I think it's going to be a fascinating. What's that?
What about Tannehill?
Well, right. We don't know what's going on with Tennessee. As soon as Tennessee decides they know what they're doing, because they still got to re-sign or franchise tag Derrick Henry. If they franchise tag Henry, they can't. They could transition tag a quarterback, but there's no way they do that to Mariota. I think they try to keep Tannehill, but who knows? And then it was interesting. I'm only gonna bring this up, but not this year, but the following year, there could be a decent quarterback on the market, and his name is Matthew Stafford. The last mock draft, and I know it's a mock draft, they had Detroit taking Tua Tagovailoa from Alabama. And I'm like, that's not that bad of a pick actually for Detroit.
No.
I think they end up trading out of that to gain a lot of draft capital. In my opinion, they should. But that is not a bad pickup for Tua to learn 1 year to get healthy behind Matthew Stafford.
See,
I think you also need hold on. I think you also need a really good, capable backup, because if you're going to quote unquote redshirt Tua, you want a good backup quarterback, because Stafford, can't stay healthy. But I think it's not that bad of a pick for Detroit. That would be a scary NFC North if he takes off there.
Dude, I think it's the only pick they need to make. I'm sorry, but somebody at some point is going to realize that has an aging quarterback, maybe we get the guy we need in the future, so we're not – the problem I have with so many NFL organizations right now that are drafting a quarterback is they're drafting a quarterback because they need one right now, this exact moment. And it's like, dude, you've known you've needed a quarterback for how long? And now You're just going all in at the position. If Detroit does that, I think you're going to – I already like Patricia, but I think it's going to put him Eric, I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. I think if he does that, he's the best coach in the NFC North, and it's not even close. It's not even close. I don't care what the record indicates. From a football standpoint, a strategy standpoint, thinking big picture, it'd be the smartest move you could do. And by the way, Cincinnati's already announced they're going to be going after Burrow. I love that decision. Don't play games. Don't be like, oh, we're listening to people. Take the guy you know you need to get. Who gives a flying fart? Who cares what other people... I don't understand that. Oh, you don't want to give it away. You're the number 1 overall pick. Why? Why? You're not going to... Why? Somebody needs to explain to me why hiding your pick as the number 1 overall pick in the draft is beneficial to anybody and makes any kind of logical sense.
All right, so I'm going to answer that question second. I'm going to go back to Detroit here for a moment. Who has a ton of draft capital who would move up to number 3?
Miami. Yeah.
Miami, okay? Miami takes Tua. They have Fitzpatrick. He plays there for another year. Let Tua heal and learn from behind Fitzpatrick. I don't know who's better to learn behind, to be honest with you. I mean, they both throw a ton of picks, and they both throw for a ton of yards. But then guess who's right back in the same position they were when they were with Arizona? Josh Rosen. And, man, I saw this a couple weeks ago that, the Bears would take Rosen for like a sixth-round pick. I wouldn't give up an 8th-round pick for Josh Rosen. That's how bad that is.
Yeah.
But that's just me. Second, let me tell you the whole Joe Burrow thing. I can understand. Cleveland cast on 3 quarterbacks at number 1 in the 2017 draft. You don't think Cleveland would love to have Patrick Mahomes right now? Granted, he might not be the same type of player he is with Kansas City. I believe he's in the best system he could possibly be in right now. They took Myles Garrett, number 1. You don't think for 1 second that Cincinnati's sitting back and saying, you know what? Joe Burrow's going to be 25. Trevor Lawrence after next year is going to be 22. How much more can we get out of Trevor Lawrence than we'll ever be able to get out of Joe Burrow? I know those conversations are being had. So, hey, is there any backlash in drafting Chase Young number 1 overall and let somebody else get Joe Burrow? I don't think they can do that.
First of all, Eric,
I don't think they can do it because hold on. I don't think they can do it because I know Cincinnati is starved for a quarterback to take them back to the playoffs, and I think obviously Cincinnati's trying to trade Andy Dalton, which signals yes they're going to draft Joe Burrow. But man, there's that little nugget in the back of your head saying,
no.
Hey, Trevor Lawrence is 3 years younger. Trevor Lawrence has done really good at Clemson. And we'll be in line for the number 1 pick again the following season. What's the drawback? The drawback is, you have to wait 1 more year. But I think that they have to go Joe Burrow. But there's that little nugget.
Well, okay, so let me take care of this. Let me take care of this nugget. First of all, Joe Burrow's better than Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence may need 3 years just to get to the same level as Joe Burrow. So, to me, that's a wash. Do I think Trevor Lawrence is a bad?
I disagree.
Do I think Trevor Lawrence is a bad quarterback? No. Do I think he's going to be the obvious number 1 quarterback coming out of the draft next year? Absolutely. Do I think he's better than Joe Burrow? No, I don't. I saw the championship game. Sorry, I saw the game. I know what my eyes told me.
And I saw the championship game the year before that where he tore up Alabama, and you know that. You watched it too.
I did.
Joe Burrow's had 1 good year. Trevor Lawrence has had 2 good years.
Okay, which brings me to my point. Peaking at the right time. Joe Burrow didn't peak in college. I worry another year and we're going to see a peaking quarterback in college. Remember Tim Tebow and how he peaked in college? How did that translate? Matthew Stafford peaked in college. How did that translate? So, I like guys that don't...
just got drafted by the wrong team. I think Stafford's a lot better quarterback. He just doesn't have anything around him. Yes, he had Calvin Johnson, but...
I was going to say, he had some talent around him. Look, the bottom line is, you're not going to not draft Joe Burrow right now. They need to. He's out, he's ready, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered in Cincinnati. And you didn't answer my question. My question was, why hide who you're drafting when you're the number 1 overall pick in the draft? What does it do? What does it benefit when A, you know you're not moving out of the spot, you're not moving out. You know that unequivocally. You're not moving out of 1. So why the mystery? I don't get it.
Do you remember the draft where the Rams got a haul for their pick?
Yeah, but the Rams weren't drafting number 1 overall. They were number 2.
Right.
Luck went 1.
You never know who's going to completely overpay for that. And I think you have to keep your ears open and your phone line open and say, yeah, I'm going to listen.
Okay, so you don't think, Eric, hold on, dude.
If some team is going to come to me and say, we want Joe Burrow and we want to offer you all of this, man, you really have to listen and consider it.
So 2 things on that. 1, you don't think the Bengals have already done that? And number 2,
I'm not saying they're calling the team and say, hey, you want the number 1 pick. I'm saying they're keeping their line open and just listening to what everybody else says.
Well, they've announced.
They're going to be like, yeah, we're going to trade you garbage for this. They're going to be like, okay, we'll talk to you later.
Well, okay, but there's an old swindler's trick too, right? You got to look at the whole situation and go, wait a minute. If they're offering a bounty and a half for this quarterback, what do they see that we don't see? And the Bengals don't want to be the Cleveland Browns. They don't want to miss and miss and miss on quarterbacks. And when you've got somebody calling you saying, we'll give you 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s, and a player of your choice on this side of the ball or at this position, you got to sit there and go, if they're willing to give all that up for 1 guy, what the hell are we talking about here? Let's just draft him. Obviously, we've pegged the right dude. I think the Bengals have done their homework. I think the reason they came out and said we're drafting Joe Burrow, because they've come out and said it, is because they've done their homework. And they know what the end game is, and they got...
I also think they came out and said it because Joe Burrow came out and said, oh, I have all the leverage. Bro, you have no leverage. You're not John Elway. You're not Eli Manning. Okay? You have no leverage. The Bengals are going to take you, and you know what? You're gonna flourish in Cincinnati as long as you have weapons to throw to. And I'm thinking that if the Bengals can re-sign A.J. Green for a year, Burrow's going to be one happy camper.
Well, I'll tell you something. Okay, I watched some Bengal games this year. Now, Tyler Boyd is a good ball player now. I think in a lot of ways he's better than A.J. Green. If their tight ends can just stop tearing their legs up, they got some of the best tight ends in football too. So, look, Burrow's a good fit in Cincinnati. I just don't understand why people go ape stick bananas on that. I want to touch on something really quick. Eric, I think the answer to this question is never, but I'm going to ask you this question as a sports analyst. I approach things as a coach. Now I want you to approach this question as a broadcast major, which you are, and you've done broadcasting for baseball games in Pensacola and some other places. So you have experience in the field. So I ask this question because it ties in the 2 sports that you know best and that we cover. So right now in baseball, you got the Houston Astros. They're marked. I think they're going to lead the league in hit by pitches. And I think the fans, when you've got Mike Trout coming out saying what happened was wrong and more needs to be done to these players, you've got yourself a problem because that man doesn't speak very often, and he's the best player in the league. It's not even arguable at this point. So Altuve obviously cheated. There's been plenty of video out proving that with his whole shirt situation in the first inning and how it was different in the third inning. And there's a bunch of stuff going on with the Houston players. No one's satisfied with what they did. And the players and the league is really treating this as the catastrophe that it is, that stealing signs is awful. It is unfair advantage to the other team. So here's my question. When is the NFL going to finally acknowledge that what the Patriots did filming their opponents over the last 20 years and stealing their signs and knowing their signals and their play calls and their alignments are no different than sign stealing for a pitcher. And it is a tremendous disadvantage for the other teams and a tremendous advantage for the other teams. When is the NFL going to come out and acknowledge that baseball situation isn't all that different than their own? And I don't mean the league. I mean the announcers.
So, it's more than a one-word answer. More than the one-word answer that you're looking for. So, the NFL still is yet to rule on the Patriots. The MLB is still yet to rule on the Red Sox. Because we're still waiting for that. And I'm sorry, but it shouldn't take that long. It's funny because I heard somebody say that the Major League Baseball investigation into Houston was so quick, but the Chris Bryant grievance hearing took 4 years, which was, or four and a half years, which was ridiculous. Where he tried to get to free agency a year earlier and it's claiming that the Cubs kept him down and not allowed him to get to free agency and blah blah blah. Yeah. We're still waiting on two other scenarios, and I don't think you'll ever hear the NFL come out with that. Even after they rule on the Patriots, they're just going to come out with a ruling, and that's going to be it. As far as announcers go, those announcers. You also have to think about who's announcing Patriot games. Typically, and that may change depending on if Brady resigns in New England. But if he doesn't resign in New England, then they're not going to get the number one team of Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. They like to have short memories. Yes, Jim Nantz can pull out a pass game out of his pocket at any time during the game. He's done it, and Romo reads plays before they even happen. But they typically have short memories when it comes to that. The only person who doesn't, who's not afraid to speak his mind, is Al Michaels. Al Michaels will tell you exactly how it is. He ripped on Trubisky in a nice way last year. He was being nice. Yeah. But he's the only one that if you see New England on Sunday night football, he'll be the only one to actually bring it up and whatnot. And maybe if Brady resigns in New England, and if they make it to the Super Bowl, and that's a big if, but you may get one of the announcers there talking about, the Patriots this against the Reds, the Patriots this against Carolina, Patriots this against Philly, Patriots this, Patriots that. So it depends on who you have behind the mic.
Well, and that's why I said never, because these guys are in lockstep, a part of the the establishment of the NFL. They hire these guys and they shut it down, and it's really, really, really annoying. And it's one of those things I'm left sitting there as a fan going, you cannot sit there and tell me on one side of your mouth that what Houston did is really bad for football and it's an unfair advantage, and then on the next breath talk about how great Tom Brady and the New England Patriots are, pretending like that crap wasn't exactly the same version, but in a football capacity, than what the Astros and the Red Sox pulled. But
you'll also hear a lot of people say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying, and the Astros and the Patriots are the only ones to get caught, and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Okay. Sign stealing in baseball has been going on forever, okay? It happened in 1951 with Bobby Thompson's home run. It's happened in the 80s. It's happened in the 90s. It's happening with the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cubs, the Sox, the Mariners, the Blue Jays, the Rays. It's happening with everybody. It's just a matter of how they do it. Yes, if you're at second base and you're relaying signs, hey, you know what? Maybe the catcher and the pitcher should get back on the same page and figure out changing up the signs. But if you're using technology and there's a video of it on YouTube, all you have to do is YouTube White Sox versus Astros trash can bang, and you can actually hear it. Like, I wish I could go back to that game, go down to Houston, sit right by the dugout, and take video and say MLB commish, Houston, White Sox, everybody tag everybody who I could, and be like, what the heck's going on here? Like, why are there a trash can banging?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And hey, you know what? The only reason why I came to like with baseball is because of Mike Flyers, and whether you like what he did or whether you didn't like what he did, I'm not going to get into that. He brought it to everybody's attention, and nobody would have thought twice if he never said a word. But because the Astros tried to cheat like that when Flyers was on the mound, when he was on somebody else's team, what are you doing? Like, you already know what you do. Why are you doing it to a pitcher you knew and had in your dugout? There wasn't a lot of accountability going around. People voiced their displeasure, even broke a monitor or two, but they kept it going. So you know what? It's not going to be hit by pitches. It's going to be how hard can we take Altuve out at second base, turning a double play type of play. That's the play you're going to want to watch for. The players got immunity, so they're not going to strip the title. They're not going to enforce more penalties. Okay. And Dusty Baker, the new manager of the Houston Astros, has already come out, and I don't blame him for asking. He's already come out and said, "Hey, can we cut down on the hit by pitches? My guys are trying to play ball up here." And I get what he's saying. I understand what he's saying. He wasn't there last year. He's trying to get protection. However, MLB's already in the Astros' back pocket, saying, "Hey, we're going to, cut down, and the pitchers are going to get suspended and thrown out and fined and whatnot." So it's not going to be hit by pitches that you have to watch out for. Yeah, there's going to be a pitcher who's going to be like, "I don't care. I'll take the fine and I'll take the suspension." But
I go one better. You know what I do as a manager? I add 2 more pitchers to my lineup. And I add one of them.
Well, you can only have 13 on your active roster.
Right. And I go with, let me explain. I go with the full 13. But one of those 13 is a garbage pitcher. He's a garbage pitcher. And I call him up whenever we play Houston, and I beam the out of him with him until they throw him out of the game. Then he gets fined and suspended, but I pay his fine, and I pay his money out while he's suspended. And the next time I play Houston, I call him up again. That's what I do. Now, I only do it for this year. Because doing this over and over again, that's just crazy. But I do it for this year, and I make it a point. And I think that's what I would do. And if I was in their division, I would have a pitcher that is maybe a bubble pitcher that is okay, but maybe not quite. You might be better served getting a guy that you could pull off the bench as a utility fielder. He can't hit for nothing, but he's a better defensive player. I might leave that guy down this year and bring up that bubble pitcher and just use him. But there's a lot of different ways that I would be attacking this problem, because there needs to be something done to these Houston Astro players for what they did. And obviously the league didn't do it, so now the players got to take it into their own hand. Now, I don't beam them in the head. I'm not condoning that. But, wrist, back, thigh, buttocks, the usual spots.
Oh, well, pitchers also have to realize that they can pitch inside too. They can't be scared to pitch inside.
No.
And if Houston has a pitcher who's afraid to pitch it inside because he doesn't want to get suspended, he doesn't want to hit a player, Houston's just going to tee off. I mean, they still have talent. They don't need the cheat to be good.
Well, we'll find out. I'll say this, Eric.
We're going to see exactly what Houston made up this year.
Right. I was going to say, we'll find the answer to that question out real quick, because I don't believe Houston is very good. I mean, if anyone looks like a great hitter when you know the pitch is coming. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. You know what pitch is coming, great, but you still get to hit it. And I know
that's true.
Granted, if you told me there were fastballs coming 3 straight pitches in a row. All right, I'm just hoping one of them's not in my ear.
Yeah, you got it. All right, buddy. Well, listen, that's a wrap. I'm Anthony.
I'm Eric.
Go Rams.
Rams?
No, go. Shut up, Boo Ram. Go Rams. Horns up, baby. Horns up.
Bear down. Go Bears.
Later.